the rise of premarital relationships, sexual intercourse to be specific, before marriage, has a tangible effect on the quality of a marriage when they eventually choose to tie the knot. And there are studies to show this. You have the study of Professor Nicholas Wolfinger, a sociologist from Utah University. And he found the following in his study. He said that those who have only ever slept with their spouses, i.e. during a marriage, reported to be experiencing very happy marriages. And they were reported to have the happiest of all marriages. They scored the highest. Those who have had no sexual encounter before their spouse, they were at the top of the pyramid. And he said the most dissatisfied and upset and most likely to fail in a marriage were women who had 6 to 10 sexual partners before they eventually got married. They were the lowest and most likely to divorce. And he said it was a trend between both men and women. If you look at the graph, the more sexual partners they had before marriage, the more likely it was that they were going to end up in divorce later on in life. But it does not dip as low as it does with women. For some reason, his findings suggest that women are way more likely to be dissatisfied, discontent, and wanting to walk out of a marriage than men, even though it works both ways. And he says that perhaps it is very obvious that the more partners a person has had, the more likely the odds are that they are going to end up in a divorce later on in life. And other researchers like Andrew Cherlin from Johns Hopkins University, he's also a sociologist, he says similar matters, that those people who showed no interest in sexual contact before marriage meant that they were more likely to offer commitment to a spouse when they did get married, and therefore they were happier. Yeah, there's a lot of these studies to suggest that this is the relationship. So between premarital relations and the likelihood of a divorce later on in life. So I suggest that perhaps this is number one, or one of the reasons that explains part of the dismissive attitude that people have towards marriage today, because there's so much going on before marriage. Second reason is because of feminism, as one of the brothers he said. We cannot pretend as Muslims we are somehow immune to their narrative. It affects us just as it affects others. When you have the likes of Shayla Cronin, who says that the path to the liberation and freedom of a woman is by first abolishing the institution of marriage. Marlene Dixon, who also says that the role of a wife is how the subjugation of a woman is maintained. And Simone de Beauvoir, the infamous feminist who wrote in her book The Second Sex, which is essentially the biblical reference for many feminists today, she writes that marriage is an alienating institution. So, of course, a lot of this is a reaction to their expressions of marriage and injustices that happen in this legal system and that social system, not in ours. So perhaps it's understandable why you're getting this extreme reaction. But the point is, these waves of feminism, they do affect us. And it does detract from the status of marriage in the eyes of people.